Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. As the Cincinnati Bengals go into the 2023 NFL season with significant Super Bowl hopes, one of the big question marks that have emerged recently for this team is the potential lack of health for their starting quarterback, Joe Burrow. So in today's video, we're going to be answering two questions. One, what does the health look like for Joe Burrow? And two, if Joe Burrow potentially goes down for a couple of games, can their backup quarterback, Trevor Siemian, step up and play well? Joe Burrow has only missed 7 games thus far in his NFL career, which really is not much in 3 seasons, but he does have a bit of an injury risk at this point. Number one, he does get hit a significant amount, and whenever your quarterback does get hit a significant amount like Joe Burrow, whenever your quarterback is so tough, not only physically, but mentally like Joe Burrow, he kind of reminds me of Andrew Luck in the sense that these guys hang into the pocket a tick or two extra in order to deliver that ball, in order to win the game, but as a result, they absorb an extra amount of punishment. So DraftSharks.com is a website that does a really good job of compiling a guy's injury history and weighing the risk of the injury in 2023. So according to this website, Joe Burrow has a 58% chance of getting injured in 2023, and according to this algorithm that the website has, he'll miss about 2 games next season. And this is considered on the higher risk side of NFL quarterbacks. He definitely has a higher risk of injury compared to the average quarterback. So now let's dive into Joe Burrow's injury history, guys. So in 2017, before the NFL, he did have a really bad wrist fracture. In 2020, also before the NFL, he had a pretty bad fractured rib as well. Now let's dive into some of his NFL injuries. So of course, in 2020, he had that catastrophic knee injury. His knee more or less exploded. He not only tore his ACL, but he tore his MCL. He had a partial tear in his PCL, and he even tore his meniscus. So whenever your knee gets absolutely wrecked like that, there's always going to be future injury concerns with that knee. He did come back extremely strongly and impressively in the 2021 NFL season, of course, but in 2021, he had that dislocated finger in that loss against the Chargers. And then in 2022, he had that knee strain against the Chiefs. And then at the end of the Super Bowl that year, he actually sprained his MCL, which a lot of people forgot about. And then, of course, recently, he did not get injured in the past season, but recently in 2023, at the end of July, he did have that calf strain that looked very bad at first, but it does seem as though it's just a calf strain. So it's definitely not out of the question that Joe Burrow can potentially miss a couple games for the Cincinnati Bengals. So now let's switch the conversation to Trevor Siemian. Can Trevor Siemian step up for Joe Burrow if he potentially gets injured? I'll be honest, guys, Trevor Siemian is always a guy who has impressed me to a significant amount. So he was a 7th round pick in 2015, and he really did beat the odds. He went to Northwestern, and though he was very good at Northwestern, he really did not have a lot of expectations in his career. So in the 2015 season, of course, the Broncos ended up winning the Super Bowl, and they did not expect their backup quarterback, Brock Osweiler, to not be on the team next season. So in 2016, when Peyton Manning retired, this really left the Denver Broncos in a really tough situation. So Trevor Siemian, a former 7th round pick just last season, was thrusted into the starting role of an NFL championship team. But in 2016, guys, he played so valiantly. Not only did he go 8-6, but he threw for 3,401 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. And context is absolutely vital for Trevor Siemian. So in 2013, 2014, we all know that Broncos offense to be one of the greatest of all time, one of the best Peyton Manning seasons of all time. And you had an incredible amount of weapons with guys such as Demaryius Thomas, you had Eric Decker, and you even had really nice tight end play there as well with Julius Thomas and company. But guys, in 2015 and in 2016, by the time Trevor Siemian came along, this absolutely was not the case. Not only was Peyton Manning absolutely trash in 2015, but the skill position players in the offense as a whole for the Denver Broncos completely fell off a cliff. Make no mistake about it, that 2015 Super Bowl team is arguably the worst offense in NFL history to win a Super Bowl. To put it into perspective, guys, the 2015 Broncos are the only team in NFL history to win a Super Bowl in the same postseason postseason in which they got outgained in terms of the yardage on offense in every single playoff game. So Trevor Siemian inherited the worst offense to ever win a Super Bowl, and that's the situation he was thrusted into in 2016. And again, he played very valiantly. Now, he did make some starts next season for the Denver Broncos, and then he was relegated to Backupville. He bounced around the NFL, but then in 2021, he got his call, he got his mark on the New Orleans Saints. He stepped in on short notice. He hadn't even been with the team all that long, and he had to make 4 starts for the team. Now, he did end up going 0 for 4 for the Saints in 2021, but as you can see in this highlight film I'm playing over this video, he played extremely valiantly all season. He put up 1,154 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions in 4 games. Guys, Trevor Siemian has always looked very nice every single time he stepped out on the field, and this Saints team in their lack of weapons was absolutely pathetic. Outside of Alvin Kamara, the 2021 Saints, especially when Trevor Siemian was going, I mean, their skill position players and their wide receivers genuinely were XFL caliber guys. So Trevor Siemian has never been put in a situation with good weapons. In fact, he's never been put in a situation with NFL average weapons. So now he goes to a Cincinnati Bengals team with absolutely incredible talent. You have guys like Jamar Chase, you have guys like T. Higgins, you have guys like Joe Mixon to rely upon, and that really does complement Trevor Siemian's game. Trevor Siemian really is that jack-of-all-trade, master-of-none guy. He really does have underrated arm talent, in my opinion. He really can make every single throw on the NFL field, and he is that classic example of taking what the defense gives him. He's not necessarily going to be a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, who consistently tests tight man coverage and tight zone coverage. To me, that really is what has kept Trevor Siemian as a NFL career backup. But other than that, he really is Jimmy Garoppolo-esque in terms of that really nice pre-snap processor, that really nice post-snap processor. Now, once his first 3 reads aren't there, he's not a guy, again, like Jimmy Garoppolo, like Dak Prescott, who necessarily will throw it up and give his NFL receivers a chance at that 50-50 ball on a 3rd and long. But again, he really has not had the talent to execute that type of play style. So with the Cincinnati Bengals, I think he'll be a little bit more aggressive. But as you can see, again, with the Saints highlights playing over this video, he's a very competent quarterback that can make every single throw, and occasionally he can, of course, extend the play as well. So to answer the question of the video, can Trevor Siemian step up for the Cincinnati Bengals if Joe Burrow goes down? I absolutely think so, guys. I think Trevor Siemian will give the Bengals some really nice performances. Let's put it this way. Any team that Joe Burrow is projected to beat by about 4.5 points or more, I think Trevor Siemian can come in and win that game for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, let's say you had Joe Burrow coming into a game. It's about a 3-point spread. It's a 2.5-point spread. They're facing a top 10 team, and then Trevor Siemian has to step up. I think they probably lose that game, but let's put it this way. Again, the Bengals and Trevor Siemian are good enough to the point where they'll beat about the bottom 15 teams in the NFL. I really do think Trevor Siemian is that high end of a backup. Thanks for listening, guys. Let me know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on Joe Burrow's injury history, and what are your thoughts on Trevor Siemian? Do you agree with my take that Trevor Siemian is actually a very high-end backup? If you enjoyed today's video, I really appreciate it. Smack that like and hit subscribe.